not once during my situation that I had gone through was I looking at my position and thinking, why me? Why is this happening to me? These things happen and they shape our character. And what are you going to do with it? How are you going to navigate life now that this has happened? And it's made me a much better person having gone through the suffering that we've gone through. And I'm very thankful for having to have been the ones to endure this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yvonne Diaz. I'm a co founder of Oncogene Cancer Research, and I'm pleased to be joined with Logan Terry, who's living with stage 4 ALK-positive lung cancer in Missouri. He was diagnosed at just the age of 32, just as his wife was about to give birth to their second baby. Logan's become involved in some advocacy, and I'm really excited to get a bit more into this discussion. So tell us more. So, you have been doing some advocacy. You mentioned earlier that you are using your background. You were pursuing a PhD, and decided to get involved with ALK Positive and their medical committee. So, what are the kinds of things you're interested in, and what have you been up to?
So while I might have the technical background to sit on the committee, and I really, really enjoy that, my passion has truly been to come alongside others that are suffering, not necessarily with lung cancer, not necessarily with alcohol positive lung cancer, but those that are struggling with cancer, especially men. I've really, really enjoyed coming alongside men that are struggling and feel hopeless. Like, what do you do when you are facing an immovable object? There's no way around it, no way over it, no way under it, but you got to sit with it. That's a very difficult thing, especially for men to do. I can't speak to about women on this, but I know as a man that is a very difficult thing to do. Confront the one thing you can't change. So I've come alongside several men, um, and given them, or I tried to direct them to where there is hope. You don't want to spend your last days angry about your situation if you cannot change the situation, if the situation isn't going to change. What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah. No, these are big life-changing decisions. And even when we feel well, right? We look well, right? If people join this conversation today, they may be surprised to know that either one of us have this condition, and yet we're walking around. But the fact that we do, especially at a young age, need to move on with our lives, that can be really difficult. I do like the men's angle, because we do see that in the support groups. You see a lot more women in the groups and commenting, and obviously it's always dangerous to generalize, but there are a group of men that might be more comfortable sharing with other men. So tell us more.
So this incidentally started. I had people within my own community that had begun reaching out to me because they heard about my situation secondhand and wanted to know our story. Um, and then that in turn, I was able to not just share my story with them, but share how I felt during that, and what gave me hope. How did I find peace? That's a massive one. Coming to terms with rationalizing what is going on and figuring out, is there, am I able to have peace, joy, and hope? I'll tell you something that gave me a lot of solace, and it might sound morbid to some people, but we are all destined to die. We live our life as though we're not. I didn't realize, I could say it with my mouth, but I didn't internalize that I had an expiration date until I was sick. Really, I didn't. And in some ways, it was very liberating to realize that at some point in time, my body's done. It's over, and I'm okay with that. And that's a conversation that I've been able to have with a lot of men and be frank about that. There's some liberty about the situation when you confront it in a frankness like that, that is very liberating for a lot of men, that they realize that this is what I get, and what am I going to do with this time that I'm allotted? Am I going to be angry about the situation I'm in. If I can't change it, am I going to be angry about it, or am I going to find joy, peace, and happiness that supersedes my situation?
That's
So
really
I
true.
this has just been a grassroots organic thing. I don't have a nonprofit. I haven't set up an LLC for this, but this was me just doing something out of love for the people I know. And shoot, I had someone from the UK reach out last week, word of mouth from someone over here. But this morphed into me getting to do public speaking events and talking to different civic groups and churches and just anyone that'll give me a platform to share hope. That's what we're doing.
That that's really powerful. And like you say, realizing, I mean, of course we all know we're all mortal, right? We have this condition, and we know from my side, my I have a paternal grandmother rather, who lived until 94. So I just always assumed I would have a long life. I don't know about you, but if you said no to people, like, you become more choiceful when you know what's going on and you think my time is the most valuable asset I have, and who I give it to, the energy I expend. It's, you really are more choiceful, and how you see the world can truly change.
Absolutely. I've gotten to where I'm very selective. I would bend over backwards to do anything for anyone. And that doesn't make me someone that is charitable. It makes me someone that's selfish because I would get a good endorphin rush for helping somebody. But I have more on my plate uh, that's my choosing. So I'm being more selective with how I delegate my time.
Wonderful. And I love the all the public speaking that you're now doing and the community you're building. And I imagine it's a two-way street, because also there is something freeing about sharing your story and then knowing that you can help someone else, right? When someone else sees that connection, right?
Absolutely, there is. It's very encouraging to have someone come up to you after you've had a chance to speak somewhere and say, "Hey, I've suffered with, or my child has gone through," and then get to connect with them on an interpersonal level on a shared experience. You know, uh,
Exciting.
Not enough people take the time to truly connect with others. And for me, it's very freeing. And I really think that in a large way, this is what we were intended to do as humans. No man is an island. We can't do this alone. And if you think you can, it leads to a very miserable existence.
And so what's next for you? We'll just continue doing the public speaking? Are you looking for other platforms? What are your
So,
plans?
yeah, I'm looking for other platforms. Like I said, I'm working three jobs. In order to gain my independence back, I really, really enjoy being my own boss. And I'm trying to get to where financially I can liberate myself and buy myself time to do the things I want to do, especially the work you don't get paid for. And this is what I would really like to get toward, to navigate towards. I want to be able to have enough income coming in so I can go do the speaking I want to do and share in connection with people. That's really my ultimate goal. So anyone that has uh, any speaking engagements or platforms they would like to connect on, I would love to be a part of that.
Wonderful. Well, I hope this video helps you get some more
I
connections,
appreciate that. I
and
hope so.
also for other men to be able to, and or women, whoever it is, really to reach out to you, because I think, there is so much power in helping each other through this whole thing. Yeah. And so what about, maybe for us to close, I mean, I wonder what kind of advice you might have for other people who are diagnosed, right? You had the biggest shock of your life when you were having these weird symptoms. You mentioned the blood clots were in your feet to start with, right? And the last thing you would have expected was getting this lung cancer diagnosis. So what, and you were told by others, don't search and don't do this. And what's your own advice? Because I do feel like the best advice often comes from other patients, and obviously different things work for different people. So I just like always listening to what works for others.
Don't be angry. Don't be angry about the situation. Nothing you did made it happen necessarily. It's don't be upset that it's happening. And, you can be sad. You can have those feelings. Those are natural. But to internalize anger and just be bitter about what you're enduring and going through, you are wasting your time. Time is precious. And if this is your last day on earth, do you really want to be filled with bitterness and anger as you leave this world? I don't. I don't. I don't have time for that. I don't desire that. I spent too many years being bitter in my life, and I'm not going to do that. I want to cherish every moment I have with the people that I love.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I think look, in these moments, so much is out of our control, and the only thing we can control is how we react and what we do next, right? How we see things and how we keep stepping forward every day. So I love that advice. Thank you so much for joining us again, and I hope you continue to do well, and that you get more time for that public speaking, which I can see gives you a lot of energy. So really great to meet you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me today.